Is Parker and McBride?
I won't say names.
Is Parker online?
Yeah, that'll keep
A few that
Not
have the names.
David.
Good evening. Calling the April 1st, 2025 regular town council meeting to order at 6:30 PM. All councilors are present, except for Councilor Parker, and we have Councilor McBride online. Oh, and Councilor Parker is online now, and I don't see Councilor McBride.
He's being promoted.
Oh, he's being promoted, okay. So we have all councilors present. Oh, I'm sorry, that was supposed to be your job, clerk. It's okay. I apologize. All right, first up, salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, up first, we have public hearings, 2025-162-2. Town Clerk, would you like to take that?
Sure. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Groton Town Council on April 1, 2025 at 6:30 PM at the Town Hall Annex, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut, in Community Room 1, hybrid virtual meeting, to consider alterations to 1130 River Road right-of-way in accordance with Article 5 of the Groton Code of Ordinance, designation of scenic roads, dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 21st day of February, 2025. Marisol Melendez, Groton Town Clerk.
Thank you. So I have the sign-up sheet. I don't see anybody signed up. Is there anybody present that would like to speak on this? Okay, do we have anybody online that would like to speak on this?
I have Bill Sweeney if you have any questions,
Okay,
but no speakers, no.
all right. Then we'll close the public hearing. And we're moving on to receipt of citizens' petition, comments, and concerns. This is the portion of the council agenda where the council welcomes comments from the public. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or as directed by the mayor, and if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Town councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation. All presentations shall be made from the lectern and should include the speaker's name and address for the record. And because we have so many people this evening, I am going to make this 3 minutes per speaker. All right, up first, we have Frank Norski.
All right, good evening. You good? Frank Narosky, 60 Kings Highway in Groton, also Chairman Athletic Fields Task Force. I'm here to discuss your discussion on March 11th, I believe, when you talked about the fields and what you were considering going forward. I believe your vote, whatever we call that, at that point in time, was to go to the town manager about $13.1 million to help with the fields at the high school, the being stadium, and the amenities around it. I'm incredibly disappointed by that. I will tell you that for 5 years we've worked on this, and the numbers we have, we got, you've kind of decimated that. What you've done is do something that this town council, not particularly all of you, should have done 25 years ago. You've done nothing to help anyone else in the town. We treat our fields behind the Board of Ed fields for whatever reason at the schools as these idle places. I just drove up here. There was not a field to be found at Sutton, at Pequannock Plains, and yet that turf field that sits at the middle school was vacant. Nothing, not even birds were on, for God's sakes. So what I'm asking you is, I don't know if I understand how, I saw the whole thing, I saw what you did, I understand what you did, but I think we need to go forward with the full plan, only because I want this to go to the people. Let the people decide what they want. They can they can vote it down. And then we move forward. I'm okay with that. Now, could you have come back to us and say, hey, can we work on this? I don't know how that works. No one called me, which is fine. But I think we can pair the 56 to some other number, right? I mean, I know a lot of you thought that Clyde Chester needs to be worked on, which absolutely it does, because that's going to give us the biggest bang for the buck, right? We're putting hundreds and hundreds of kids out there every weekend. You have a soccer community that came in here and told you they spend $250,000 a year on fields. Wouldn't that look just wonderful if we put it in the bank? And then in 15 years, we have X amount of dollars, and we have to replace something. Oh my gosh, look at all the people that paid us money to play on these fields. So I guess I was asking for your reconsideration, and maybe we can all talk about and go through it. And yes, are there things that you could push off later on? Absolutely right. No one disagrees with that. But I think conversations with the task force and others to talk about it, maybe could shine a light on what we could do and where we could go forward. So I'd appreciate you reconsidering the amount of money that you're going out for, and talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next is Mason Kafka.
Hello, my name is Mason Kafka, and I have some things to say about the fields. The high school football bathrooms are disgusting. I could not even go to the bathroom because of how bad they were. And the space beyond the field can maybe be made into a field for football camps like the one GMF does. Please make more than one field so the ages can have good space at Clyde Chester. Please also make bleachers and stands so people don't have to go through the trouble of bringing their chairs. Also make more parking if you take down the school. Thank you for listening to my thoughts.
Thank you. Up next, Iris Levine.
Hi, my name is Iris, and I live at 24 Godfrey Street, Mystic. I want to discuss why athletic fields are important tonight. They are important to others because they make places available for people who can't practice sports at home. For example, I have a friend who does not have a great yard or a great house for practicing soccer in, but the fields, when he visits them, it really helps him out, and he's improved a lot because of that. Also, by playing town sports with kids, on athletic fields from different elementary schools, other kids are able to know some people going into middle school. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, I believe it's Lafla Bauman. And somebody, last name Bauman? No? Laf?
I thought I signed up one after, but my name is Zofia Baumann. Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
All
Thank
right,
you.
I'm sorry. My handwriting is notoriously
I didn't know if
bad.
it was a cursive. Okay.
All good. I live at 528 Shinnecossett Road, Apartment G. And I was here before on one of the meetings to speak for the need of upgrading our, fields. I have a child who is very passionate about playing soccer and would do it year-round if possible. But it is impossible to do that, and we have notorious problems of scheduling fields for even when we have, we have this incredible club in Groton Soccer Club. And I happen to work with Hazel Levine, who is here, who is scheduling the fields. And because we work together, she always tells me how difficult it is to schedule space for fields. And it takes her all this time. She doesn't even get paid for it. And I just wish that her life was easier so that we can have greater life experience for our children. Our children need that space for practicing safely, so that they don't get pulled into their devices, you know. I think being outside with their peers and friends and moving is just to the benefit of their mental health and physical health, and it is also to the benefit of the parents' mental and physical health. I do my laps, I talked about it before, and so I really beg and this council to take this seriously as an issue of investing in our community. And this is really necessary to do. We cannot be delaying this anymore. Money is never going to come, you know, we're not in the times of money is going to just like, you know, float from the sky to us. It's not going to happen. Well, it's a matter of making a priority, and this is the priority. We need to invest in our community, in our children, in ourselves. There's no point of delaying this investment anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Chris Meany.
Good evening. I'm Chris Meany, 54 Nicholas Avenue, Groton. I'm here tonight with my fellow Thrive 55 members. We took up a petition with approximately 100 signatures to request that Lindsay Manza be given a second interview. She was ill the day she had a Zoom meeting with a panel asking her questions. She had a hard time hearing the questions, and she said several times she could not hear what they were asking her. She had tremendous brain fog, and Lindsay just wants a second chance. Here are Lindsay's responsibilities and accomplishments. She took over the ordering of supplies, produce, beverages, HPC, and WB Mason. She created menus for October through March. She created daily menus from June 24th to present, focusing on seasonal and safe items to facilitate variety and control food costs. She initiated and prepared new recipes to promote healthier eating, foster enthusiasm, and reduce food costs. She prepared more fresh from scratch foods and used less prepackaged and processed items to increase quality, reduce costs, reduce sodium and preservatives, and encourage healthier eating. She implemented FIFO, which is first in and first out, for inventory management to ensure quality, reduced waste, and increased cost efficiency. She implemented a grab-and-go product line using leftovers to reduce waste and increase revenue. She reduced waste and food costs by utilizing leftovers to create unique and flavorful soups, which have become a customer favorite feature. She cleaned and organized the kitchen, the walk-in freezer, and stockroom areas to increase efficiency, reduce waste, and eliminate potential hazards. She prepared in the Community First Meal program independently, shopped for and prepared as the only cook, and 10,000 meals in 10 months were served. She was nominated as Grand Marshal of the 2021 Groton, Connecticut 4th of July Parade, representing Community First Meals. She received consistent positive feedback from customers for exceptional meals and service. She obtained Serve Safe Food Protection Management, and she obtained the Food Protection Management Certificate. I would like to conclude with this statement that Lindsay has been with Thrive 55 for 8 years. She is well respected and loved by many members. She knows what the people like, and she loves her job. Please give her a second interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Joshua Trask.
Thank you. My name is Joshua Trask. I live at 209 Shenecosset Parkway here in Groton. So I've been a youth sports coach for many years, going back as far as the military community Dolphins football, if people remember that at all. Coaching out at, I believe it was Mary Morrison. I've been on the board and a coach for Groton Little League. I have also coached Groton soccer since my boys were very little, and I'm currently a soccer coach for Sacred Heart School, where we just started a soccer program this past fall. Youth sports, I think, are extremely important, okay? So we want to be a community that brings families in. I'm not originally from Groton. I'm here because of the military, and I chose to make Groton my home after I got out of the military. I actually left the state and came back to Groton for employment because I believe that this is a great area, and now that I have children, I believe it's a great place to raise them. However, if we want to make it a place for families, we have to show that that's really a priority for us. In my experience, from T-ball, we've coached at Pleasant Valley, which was at one point, I was afraid kids were going to get hurt because there were rivets and tire tracks through the middle of the baseball field. We saw the same thing in Mystic. I'm blanking on the name of the school over there when my daughter was playing a couple years ago for T-ball. Our soccer field down here at Pequannock Plains, which is our main fields, if you get any sort of rain, it becomes a swamp. And our alternate field was the middle school or the new elementary school in Mystic. And Hazel can tell you, I had to basically cancel our practice when we went there because, again, it was a swamp. I sank up to my ankles in mud when we went there after a minor rainstorm. I know there's an investment in building fields. There's an investment in doing this sort of thing. But that investment is in our future. It's in our kids. It's in our families. And it brings people here, and they're going to want to stay here. They're not going to want to go to New London or Waterford or Stonington. They're going to come here. They're going to settle here. They're going to raise their families here. They're going to pay taxes here. So that money that we might lay out now in the long run is better for all of us. I could go into great detail, but I don't have the time about the importance of youth sports. There's a reason that I have players who are returning for their 6th and 7th seasons with me because, we focus on having fun and developing that, and we're winning games. And it's not because of anything I'm doing other than making sure that the kids have fun and we focus on being good sportsmen and just learning to do things the right way. And I hope that, that's down the road has knock-on effects, that this is going to help them to develop into, good people. And then those people will, again, contribute to our community. So thank you for your time, and I really hope you guys, take that into consideration.
Thank you. Landon Trask.
Hi, I'm Landon Trask, and I play for Groton Soccer Club with my dad as my coach and my brother, a great defender. My dad has been my coach since I was 6 years old, and I love playing soccer. But when the fields were muddy or not good to be used, I was sad. Well, why? Because it means one day of practice with my teammates and not being able to bond with them to make a better team and friendship. New fields would mean a lot to me because that means better quality fields for three sports that Groton holds. First is football. I have friends that play football, and they tell me about the fields and that they are not good. Second is lacrosse. I also have a friend that plays lacrosse. He says that he hates muddy fields, and that's because it rains. Third is soccer. This is my favorite fall and spring sport. I love this, and I would love to have separate fields so no holes or dents. Just want to play the game. I just want to play the game I love to play and enjoy with my dad and my teammates to have a better bond. By the way, I would like to tell one more thing about the bathrooms. The bathrooms are disgusting, and my mom tells me and my brother always if we have to use the bathroom to never go in them because they are disgusting. She tells us to go behind the bathrooms and go in a tree. She doesn't want to bring my sister in there, so she just brings something little for her. Thank you for your time. Landon Trask, age 11.
Thank you. Up next, Tom Olson.
Tom Olson, 188 Crosswinds Drive. I'm here representing the Complete Streets Committee. We were here for the last Committee of the Whole, where we indicated that Planning and Zoning had to go still review it. I met with them last Tuesday. They are still working on issues that I did as far as represent the committee there. They will finalize their comments next week, so we should be on track to support your 22 April deadline that was we agreed to at the last meeting. And on a personal note, I'd like to thank you for the prompt action you took relative to the moving forward with the town budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Rich Loach.
Okay, hopefully not get a bad back. Okay, thanks for giving me a bit of time to talk on the topic of fields. I'm here to advocate on behalf of not just the Groton soccer playing community, the youth soccer club, which I'm the president of currently, but on the whole for all our kids' different field sports in Groton that have grown over the last couple of years. I moved to Groton in 2016, came to work here at Pfizer and got involved in soccer because that's where I grew up with, but have seen and have seen the sport really in terms of numbers of kids playing it double from that time to now. It's growing in popularity. There are other sports, football, lacrosse in particular, that people are taking up more and more. And I want to advocate on behalf of my Frank, who's done a lot of work for the task force, and second his sentiments about the kind of, I would agree, short-sighted decision to limit the investment in fields. It's welcome, but we need more than that. And as someone who has 4 children here, I have a daughter in high school, I have a daughter in middle school, and two children in the elementary schools here in Groton. I'm seeing how things are improving. I've seen the incremental investments and how in the schools and in the community, but I want that to continue. I want more for our kids in terms of opportunities, having turf fields, having lit turf fields that they can use all year round. I was asked to be part of a committee a few years ago looking into having the Claude Chester renovation, and I feel like that has dragged on, and I know that a lot of people have worked on that, and there's been a lot that's been put into it, but I feel like these are kind of no-brainer decisions that we talk about and we need to act upon, and I just want to add my voice to the others to say we need a referendum, and I want to advocate for just more to be done and more to be invested in more fields and better fields for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Mary Ellen Furlong.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ellen Furlong. I live at 57 Fishtown Lane, Noank, Mystic, Groton. I'm here tonight because I was very disappointed with the town council/cow meeting last Tuesday night. First, a Democratic caucus was called before the start of the meeting, but one Democratic town councilor was not notified of the early caucus. Councilor Bordelon arrived just as the other councilors were leaving the caucus. I do not know if it was legal to hold such a caucus and deliberately exclude an eligible Democratic counselor. It appears that she was excluded because she would not have gone on along with the idea that was proposed to simply adopt the town manager's budget and skip the normal process of a line item review, which has gone on for I don't know how many years. That process is an important part of the council's job. Without that review, the voters would not have any idea of why their taxes were increasing. One of those line items was apparently an 8% increase for the police department. Why? Is it because the STR rental problem in Mystic is growing every summer? We need to keep our budget as low as we can because we may lose federal funding for our school programs. That is what several of the surrounding towns and New London are doing. I can't even go into the mess I saw when the mayor recused herself because of an alleged quid pro quo remark to a developer. Then she continued to chair the meeting. Or the mess I saw when Councilor Bordelon said she was told by the town manager that she had to recuse herself. He denied at first, saying she had to recuse herself, and then he admitted he did tell her that. She had to leave the meeting while this was discussed. I can't find anything I like about that last meeting. Thank you.
Up next, Manan Sar.
Good evening. I'm going to keep this short, basically. My name is Manon Cyr, and I live here on Old Everts. I've been living there for 9 years now. I'm a mother to 4 kids, all of which are involved into sports. I am obviously not originally from here, but when we moved here, sports, especially the Groton Soccer Club, was a good way for us to integrate, to be part of the community here. We have a lot of families, a lot of kids around, and I think having more fields and maintaining them also, it's going to keep our families stay active and keeping the kids out of trouble. So I would just like to finish by saying I encourage also to have a referendum, like the idea was already submitted, to know what the residents really want. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Mary Golston. Rosemary Golston.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Golston, and I live at 98 Brookshaven Road. I am a frequent participant of Thrive 55, and I have enjoyed many fine meals prepared by Lindsay Manza, the cook. I have recently found out that she did not get the kitchen supervisor job that she interviewed for. At the time of the interview, she was quite ill and requested the interview be postponed. This was denied. I find this highly unconscionable, as she has been such a hard-working, loyal employee. She has put her heart and soul into making great lunches. We have hot meals, 2 kinds of homemade soups, salads, and sandwiches daily, all for a very reasonable price. She supervises the Cove, our little coffee shop run by volunteers, which I am one of the volunteers. She recently added quiches for what we sell, besides the coffee and the pastries, oatmeal, hot chocolate. And during the summer, there will be fruit and veggie cups. And the veggies come from the garden that the volunteers grow at the senior center in our raised beds. The Cove makes hundreds of dollars monthly for the kitchen. We can thank Lindsay for this. At times, she comes in on weekends to prep and clean. She took over many times when Lamont, the head cook, was sick, so she was just like the supervisor. This job has been her life, and it shows. We love her and feel she has been unfairly overlooked for this position. In all fairness, she should be given the opportunity for another interview. Also, please come to the center and partake of a nice lunch. You will be pleasantly surprised.
Thank you. Mr. Burt, do we have anybody signed up online to speak?
We do not.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak this evening?
Hi, my name is Genevieve Surf. I live at 6 Pearl Street in Mystic, Connecticut. I'm basically following up exactly on the comments of my friend Mary Ellen Furlong about what happened with the budget last week. In my 25 years of being involved in Groton politics, it's come up a couple of times when it's budget season. There are people who moan and groan and say, oh my God, and by the way, I've been served, 3 or 4 terms on the RTM and 1 on the town council. So I've been through the drill. Budget season is no fun. And everybody moans and groans and says, oh my God, we're gonna have to go through the budget and blah, blah, blah. And they say, oh, well, we trust the town manager. Why don't we just pass the budget as a whole? And some people are tempted. And then some people think, God, speak up and say, no, we can't do that. It's our job to go through the budget and look at it carefully, discuss it among ourselves. This is something that you guys here do not do anymore. Debate appears to be a punishable offense. Maybe you'll get sent down to, one of these prisons for debating because you can't contradict and I'm sorry to say this, we can't contradict the mayor anymore without getting into trouble. This is very much like the leader of our country right now. Can't contradict him either. Can't debate, can't discuss, can't let the people know what's going on. This is absolutely unacceptable. And all of those of you here, I hope, tell your friends, all of you watching on television, this is what these people, we elected them for. This is their main job, is to go through the budget, especially in a year where we may lose a lot of federal funding, we may lose some grants, we have a lot of increased demands on the school system, from what I've heard. It's just unconscionable. In addition to which, it came to my attention that you had a caucus before the meeting where you decided to vote on the budget as a whole and not present it to the public, except in that public hearing, and people didn't go to the public hearing. Even if they did, they only got the manager's point of view. They didn't get you all's point of view. So you had this caucus, and I realized something was bothering me. Councilor Bordelon told me that she arrived on time for the meeting, but she saw you all walking out of another room where you'd had a caucus, where apparently you'd had a meeting to which she had not been invited. Now, I think this is a Freedom of Information Act violation, because you should be, I would urge you to reconsider your vote.
Your time has expired.
I would urge you to
reconsider
your vote on the budget and take it from the top. And this time, decide that you're going to discuss the budget in front of the public.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening. My name is David Meany. I live at 54 Nicholas Avenue in Groton. I'm here to support Lindsay Manza. She is a wonderful person and an intricate part of our Thrive 55 community. She deserves to be made supervisor of the kitchen. She has worked at this position for the last year and a half because the last supervisor had health issues. And she took over and did some wonderful things. So I feel that she should be considered again with another interview. And I hope that this happens, and I hope that she is awarded this supervisor position. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Barbara Daniels, 66 Hilltop Road, and I too am here to express my concern for Lindsay Manza that she become the supervisor at Thrive 55. She's worked diligently, many times overtime, to improve the quality of food and to involve herself with how people eat nutritiously down at the center. She takes pride in helping us run the Cove. I'm a volunteer at the Cove, and without her, life would be very different. Please come down, enjoy our food, and help us get her back.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Hi, Jack Daniels, 66 Hilltop Road. Everything they've said is right, but there's one thing they haven't said. The Thrive 55 is a community center. It's part of this community, a very large part of the community. Lindsay is so much part of that. Please give her just another shot. She was sick when she had the interview. Give her a shot, okay? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, Susan Phillips, 25 Allen Street in Mystic. I also support Lindsay having a second interview.
Thank you.
My name is Gina Carey, and I live at 52 Dartmouth Drive, Mystic, Connecticut. I've known Lindsay for quite a while, and I have worked with her. My husband had worked at the senior center for about 10 years, and I know all the things that she has done. She has taken over completely, and without her, the food, everything, it would not be the same. She's there on her days off. She stays extra hours, and for her not to get an extra interview, especially when you folks don't know how ill she has been, it's unbelievable that she should have this job. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Good evening. My name is Sharon Terneski, 31 Elm Street in Groton, and I'm also here on behalf of Lindsay Manza for the Thrive 55 Community Center. She has done a wonderful job bringing us through this past year and a half, taking over the kitchen, supporting us in the Cove. I'm also a volunteer in the Cove. Without her, we wouldn't have had that, and it's a vibrant place because of her. Please give her another chance. Speak with her again. Let her tell you her story. She's dedicated. She has put her heart and soul into this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Louise Mears. I live at 100 Warner Street in Groton City. I've been volunteering at the Cove for over a year now. I started out with the previous cook, and then when he was sick for many days, on and off, Lindsay was doing everything herself. I don't know if you all realize this, but besides Lindsay and the previous cook, most of us are volunteers there. We're volunteers because Lindsay makes this such a wonderful working kitchen. Everything is very efficient, very delicious. And if you didn't know, if you're around Groton Senior Center between 11:15 and 12:45, stop in and have lunch with us. It's wonderful food. When people come in and they see what we have to offer, they're amazed. I was one of the people that was taking up the petition, and I went to this table of people playing cards, and I was talking to them. They weren't from Groton. Their center in Ledyard is being redone, and they just thought they'd stop in and play cards. I says, well, you gotta have lunch. This was Friday. You know what we were serving? Fish and chips. We were chicken. What else? Not clams, shrimp, thank you. 2 vegetables, and of course, always soup and sandwiches and salads. They were amazed. They couldn't believe it. You know, they were invited to sit, and they loved it. You don't know what a gem this is that we have here in Groton, and I really hope that you have time to stop in and have lunch with us. So I've been volunteering, like I said, for a year, and it's, you know, Lindsay makes it a very comfortable place for everybody. So I hope you reconsider her job. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Spencer, 48 Allen Street in Groton, and I'm a member of Thrive 55 in support of Lindsay. The woman's got heart, and she is so good with the clientele, so good with everybody that passes through the lines. She really cares, and I know every winter we all stash our soups in the freezer. Her soups, they're homemade. There's just that touch that she has, a very personal touch. She has a lot of patience, and that's so necessary for where she works. She requires a lot of patience, and the fact that she's just a great cook. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Gauthier, 31 Boardson Road. I am an alternate member of the Planning and Zoning Commission here. I'd first like to lend my support to Lindsay. She sounds like a fantastic asset to our community. I'm not very aware of her plight. However, where we can extend our humanity and consider the human element in those who have served us so well, I think is always important. We are talking about people and community here, and take the opportunities when we can. Otherwise, I'm here to address the council as a taxpayer, just noting my embarrassment but not surprise that this council is choosing to pass the town manager's budget with no real consideration of the structural elements that are lending to a over 3% increase, especially in the face of what may be a substantial economic downturn due to the current national administration. I think only taking a look at the Board of Education budget, which is already heavily constrained by the minimum budget requirement, and there's really not much we can do. I think taking a look at CIPs, low-hanging fruit, very easy things to talk about, but talking about what actually drives underlying future consistent increases in taxpayer dollars, right, and what we have to pay out of pocket regardless of what's happening is lazy, frankly. Now, I hope that the RTM will do its fiduciary duty and go element by element like we've done in the past. I am a former member of the RTM. Given the political tone in town, again, not likely and not surprising that they won't, but again, I hope that they do. I would recommend that this council use some of the time you've saved not considering the town budget on fortifying the town property development policy. I was a part of the 2023 Property Reuse Committee where we developed a substantial but succinct policy that addressed elements like confidential handling of proposal material and ex parte communications, which from the March 25th meeting seem to be a serious concern here by the council and administration in town. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hazel Levine, 24 Godfrey Street, Mystic. Hi again, I'm back here. I actually was inspired to come up. First of all, it's really nice to hear the humanity and the passion for the woman who works at the senior center. I have to admit, it makes me want to eat there for sure, but also makes me want to be a part of this community, to hear people speak in support of people that they care about so much. I mean, I feel like that's what this is all about in Groton, and that's why I'm here. And I wanted to say something about the fields, as always, in support of the fields. I wanted to tell you something that's happened recently. We're just about to embark on our spring field season for soccer, and it's off the charts in terms of registrations. I don't know if we're getting free advertising from all of us coming here all the time, or if people really are just interested in getting out more for mental health and physical health, which is what I think is really happening and ever since COVID. But something happened uniquely this season that's never happened before, and I'm not sure the rest of you know about this, and that is that the town Parks and Rec Department actually reached out to me, and we had a meeting with the lacrosse people, because in the spring this is lacrosse season, and we share soccer field, and there's not that many fields at Pequannock to share, and we were able to come to an agreement that was brought together by everyone from the Parks and Rec Department, and we've been on emailing and texting back and forth, and every little slice of time and field space that's available, we're trading back and forth, and we're doing it fairly, and it really is wonderful. I really do feel like we're going to hit those fields really hard, and we're going to need extra because there's going to be so much usage on them. But it's really nice that we've been able to come together and work together to maximize that field usage. So this is across sports and with the town. And it's been really a friendly experience. So what I'm hoping is that, actually listening to Frank, and I really do thank you for all the work that you and the task force have done, he said that, there's ways that maybe the council can talk to the task force and come to some sort of agreement and maybe change things a little bit. So maybe doing something like I did with Parks and Rec and the lacrosse people, we can come to some agreement and actually get more than just the high school turf football field that's proposed for the $13 million and the bleachers done. It'd be really great to have more than that. I understand if we can't get all of it, but I do think it does need to get to a ballot and get to the people to vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ian Thomas, 24 Jefferson Drive. Full disclosure, I am a Board of Education member and also the spouse of Councilor Bordelon. Definitely want to lend my support for Lindsay. Sounds fantastic, and I always appreciate seeing grassroots organic community support come out. So nothing speaks more to the community than that. So thank you all for coming out. A couple of issues. One, in regards to the March 25th meeting, the recusal concerns that were raised, it seems greatly concerning to me that there's inconsistency in the approach. First and foremost, if there is going to be a recusal, people have the rights to explain their recusal. And on top of that, if the expectation is for a counselor to leave the platform due to a recusal, then any counselor that's recusing should leave the meeting and not participate. So there needs to be consistency across the board. Same standards should apply equally to all counselors. I found it troubling that in the article, manager mentioned problems with Councilor Bordelon remaining at the table, but no problem with the mayor continuing to run the meeting, even though they both were in the process of recusing themselves from the issue. Other concerns, the caucus heard about the caucus before the 27th meeting. Again, that also seems to me to be a treading on the edge of a FOI violation, where it seems by all indicators that a decision was made conducting town business behind closed doors, as the majority of the council came out and shared very similar talking points, and no substantial deliberation except for the one person who abstained and the one person who opposed, and namely the one person who opposed was not invited to the caucus. And usually caucuses tend to happen in the middle of a meeting in a recess. To have a caucus happen prior to a meeting requires arrangements and communication. And real quick, I also just want to emphasize, as a Board of Ed member, we supported the full athletic fields proposal as put forth by the Athletic Fields Task Force. Understand that, that got whittled down a good bit, but one thing I asked for was to bring it to a referendum, so I'd ask this council to reconsider that situation, and addressing just the fields and just the high school field and just the bleachers up there does little to address the overall problems that are generational, and also the liabilities that could be incurred by ADA and Title IX non-compliance. So you could be risking a bigger cost there. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Jennifer Meekum, 161 Ridgewood Drive. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I feel compelled to. As a former town employee, I had the pleasure of working at Thrive 55 for almost 10 years and worked hand in hand with Lindsay. I'm also honored to be her daughter. Recently, my mother has hit some health hiccups, and we're going to call it that because we're going to get through it. On the morning of her in-person interview, my mother was too ill to attend in person. I called the town, was met with mediocre reception in HR to ask to reschedule it. They agreed to do it via Zoom. Unfortunately, we took it. Wasn't favorable, but we took it. My mother lives by the theory of nobody goes hungry. If you walk in her house, hungry or not, you are walking out with food. She carries that with her at the senior center. When she is unable to work, her first thought is, how are they going to eat? She truly loves her job. As much as for the last few years, I've tried to talk her into retiring and enjoying it, she doesn't want to. She wants to continue her legacy, and I'm here to support that. Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up? Okay.
Good evening, all. I am here to support Lindsay because I believe...
I'm sorry, your name and address?
21,
Your name.
21 Warner Street.
And your name?
Patricia Stevens.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I am here to support Lindsay because I believe that she is the person for the supervisorial position. And she's been a godsend to us, standing in for Lamont when he couldn't make it and making things run smoothly. She's a wonderful person and also a very hard worker. I believe, if given the chance, that she can handle whatever comes her way. And I thank you for your time, but I think you should reconsider. She's a great person, and she's a big part of Thrive 55. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and speak? Okay, then we're going to end this portion of our meeting of citizens' petitions, comments, and concerns, and we're going to move on to our consent calendar. Counselor Parker, would you like to take that?
I make a motion to accept 202 5-4 is the special trust fund contributions of April 2025, as well as 2025-315, March 4th, 2025 minutes. I so move.
Second. Moved by Parker, seconded by Gajewski. Do any counselors have any changes to the minutes or comments? All right, seeing no hands, we're going to take a vote on the consent calendar as the motion moved by Parker, seconded by Gajewski. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Counselor Bordelon, I did not hear your vote. Counselor Parker?
That was an aye.
Counselor McBride?
That was an aye, thank you.
Thank you. That passes 9-0. Up next is communications and reports. Town councilors. Counselor Merritt, do you have anything you would like to share this evening? Thank you. Counselor Bordelon.
Thank you. I just want to say that I attended some Board of Education meetings. I also want to state on the record that I did have a concern about the caucus that was held before the meeting. I spoke to another counselor and they said they received a text message. I received no invite. In the past, when we've had caucuses, everybody is invited and then your choice to attend or not is your decision. I just find it very troubling because also, we are a whole Democratic committee of counselors up here, and we also have our vice chair of our Democratic committee, Counselor Gajewski, and I will be referring this to our committee because I deserve a right to be there, and I'm not sure what happened as to why I was not invited. Also, I do not appreciate the way in which when I said that was not true, I was told, and I rewatched the meeting, that by the mayor, she stood up and said, nope, you asked for a job, but yet when she stated her recusal, it's because it was not a true statement, and why my statement was seen not in the same ballot is unbelievable. I am hurt by the accusations and disgusted. I am also concerned about the process with the developers because we shouldn't have developers meeting each other in the foyer anyway. And in no way would I ever compromise myself in a way in front of two developers in a hallway. So that judgment is just appalling to me. So again, I state my accusations are false. I also want to state I did ask again if I could be invited to the christening of the submarine coming up. I got no response. But I do want to thank the town manager because he does receive tickets as well, and he graciously put me on the list, and I now will attend. Thank you, town manager. I've asked several times to be invited to extracurricular activities, and yet my voice goes unheard time and time again, and I'm not sure why. I can only wonder why, but it's not fair. Again, I stand on no standing committee on the council. When I asked the mayor, she said to me, the reason I'm not on there is nobody up here wants to work with you. Imagine if this was Republicans and Democrats. That's not your privy. We all got elected equally. Give me a fair shot at the table and let me box myself out, not you make that decision. I deserve to be on the
Borderline,
committee.
would you stop yelling at me?
I'm speaking
Stop
passionately.
yelling at me.
Point of order,
Your point of order.
decorum.
I agree.
I'll calm my passion down. I deserve a right to be on the committee. I'm appalled at what happened with the budget. Councilor McBride abstained and I voted down. I came into the caucus and they came in and said, that's it, we're going to pass the town manager's budget. In no way am I judging the town manager's budget. I think he proposed a decent budget, but we have an obligation at large. We were elected to go line by line, and I'm just embarrassed that now we're going to pick apart the Board of Ed and not do anything else. With that, I look forward to attending the christening, and I also want to say thank you to all the children, military children, as it's Military Appreciation Children's Month, and as a mother of two children
Your time has expired.
Thank you, Navy dependents. I'm proud of all the children in our community as a submarine capital.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Pacino.
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I received various emails from constituents that I'm assuming everybody else also received. Friday was the United Way Food Bank, which we have a great need of hunger in this. We have a great a great amount of hunger in our community, and it's evident by the amount of people that come out every month for the food bank. Myself, also along with Councilor Russ, Councilor Gasky, and Councilor Parker also attended that. This weekend, I attended the 16th Annual Edible Book Festival. It's a joint festival that's run by the Groton Public Library, Mystic Noack Library, and the Bill Memorial Library. It was held at the Groton Public Library, and it was fun. A lot of kids make a lot of different food representing different books that they have read, so it was a combination of books and food, and it was a great time. So
Thank you.
that's it.
Councillor Gajewski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As mentioned, I attended the United Way, and then on Saturday, I attended Children's First Groton Resource Fair. There were over 400 families there. Based on the conversations I had there, it was like their largest one ever attended. They did a great job. Shout out to their director, Chelsea Rodriguez, for organizing it. She did a fabulous job. Thank you to all the people that came out tonight. I did just want to state that it was mentioned that as my role of the vice chair of the GTC, but I like to point on the record that political parties should have no place in the town council, and my separate role should remain separate because of that. So just on that, and then various communications on issues that the community came out and spoke on, and so all that good stuff, and look forward to continuing the great work we do.
Thank you. Councillor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also received a number of emails this week, and I wanted to, well, I want to start by saying thank you to everybody who came out tonight. There is a great passion. I really want to meet Lindsay Manza, but I do want to say it is a personnel matter, and unfortunately, we as a council do not have any say over personnel matters, but I have talked to Mr. Burt already today about this because I received an email from a constituent concerned about it as well. So he is aware of it. Where that goes is really up to the town manager and HR and Parks and Rec. So we do hear you. Please don't think we are just not acting. We just don't have the jurisdiction to do so. Regarding athletics fields, I want to say I heard you all, and I thank you for coming out. I know we're all trying to balance what will get passed. Oh, I'm going to talk about me. I'm not going to talk about everybody else. My apologies to my my fellow councilors. My biggest concern is what can we get passed, and I realize this has been an issue for 25 plus years, long before any of us were on the council, and it should have been handled long ago. I appreciate all the work that the Athletics Fields Task Force has done. I would love to meet with Mr. Narosky and take him up on his offer of what can we do and what can we pass that will kind of satisfy everyone to take to referendum. I want to make sure that whatever we send to referendum is something that we as a town can pay for. I've talked many times about concerns about the fact that 40% of our town is under the ALICE threshold, which means they're having a hard time meeting their basic needs now. So that being said, I 100% believe that athletic fields are important, and I would love to meet with Mr. Narosky and whomever he would like to bring to the table as well to talk about the best way to move forward in their minds. And that is it. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank all the residents who came out and spoke. It is lovely to see so many show up and speak about what's important to them in Groton. And I think it's very nice to hear that a resident say that they left Groton and came back. I also think Thrive 55 is a gem as well. When it comes to athletic fields, we do have a referral, well, I put a referral in, which has enough support to have the discussion come back to the council so we can discuss a master plan and a phase-in process to potentially do the fields and how we can do this with the taxpayers and the financials all of concern. When it comes to the budget process, I just want to say that, oh, I'm sorry, I have to still get the people online. I'm going to finish up mine and then I'll go to them. When it comes to the budget process, I think that the council is the big picture, and I will speak for myself. I could have gone through the whole budget, and I don't think I would have the ones that we passed, I would not have made any changes. And the RTM is our financial arm, so it will go to them next, and they are the ones who are supposed to dive into the finances of our what we pass here. And when it comes to a quid pro quo, I will say again, it's false. And when I can speak about the matter, I definitely will. But know this, I have done nothing wrong, regardless of what people are trying to say. And when it comes to recusal, I don't know who said this, but you do not need to leave the meeting. I will not, but you cannot attend executive session. And when it comes to a caucus, because that was brought up numerous times tonight, I'm just going to let you know, there was a caucus. There was no voting done. There was no deliberation. It was a process discussion of a process for this council. And I will say, it is correct. I did not invite Councilor Bordelon. So, I will move on. Councilor McBride, do you have anything to share?
No, I apologize for not being there this evening. I came down with something. I've been homesick all day. I'll save most of my comments for future, but I did want to let everyone know that on April 10th, there is a budget meeting. And in that meeting, the agenda is on the budget, so there can be other discussions other than what I had thought, because I've spoken to many residents who believe we just pushed everything through and that just capital and Board of Ed was going to be discussed. But because the agenda item is fiscal 2026 budget, we do have the ability to bring up other items. So I'll be doing that based upon my review. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to everyone who came up to speak. I have a few things. I did attend the events that were mentioned. I did also attend the 3rd annual Early Childhood Resource Fair that was held at Thames River. Wonderfully attended event. I started there at 9 and probably didn't leave until it was almost done at 12. It was jam-packed, full of resources, and thank you to all our community partners that came out to provide for our families. In regards to the budget, I've had several people come up to me, phone calls, texts, in person, say that, thank you, I understood what was going on. There is an opportunity to review everything, to come by. We had a public hearing. There are still opportunities to speak that will be at the RTM sessions. So if there's an issue, then bring it forth. Worked hard on reviewing the budget and proud of myself for doing my work. In order to do something at that budget level for the April 10th meeting, there has to be a vote because it was already voted upon. So everyone, please review your rules. It's very important to read your rules and follow them. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, up next, Clerk of the Council. How about Clerk of the Representative Town Meeting?
District 1 has 1 seat, minority representation. District 4 has 2 seats, 1 Democratic and 1 minority representation, and that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Town Manager Burt.
Good evening. A few updates. The ABC, the policy the town council adopted for ABC members to follow Robert's Rules of Order and FOIA requirements, as well as to get training. We held that training very well attended, and that training was recorded, and as anybody who missed or new people coming in, they're given that link to that video. We don't just have it out there. We want to know you've asked for the link, and then you sign off that you have watched that video and you understand you need to follow the rules or follow those guidelines. Next week, we'll have the Athletic Field Task Force on the agenda. I just received some numbers from our financial advisor, so I would suggest that, get a feel for the cost before, anything else. See, I can't remember if I mentioned it here or not, but we do have a new Human Services Director, Kim Turek, who was already a member of the Human Services Department, so she's a welcome addition. Recently, I forget if that was last week, but we had a lot of talk recently, I guess it was at the last month at COW about the golf course pricing, and we were asked about the point of sale software system. We did interview, I sat in on them, but 4 firms were interviewed. They're down to 2, waiting on some last information. I anticipate that the group will select the winner soon, so hopefully we'll see that move forward soon. Let's see, there will be a meeting on April 23rd at 6:30 p.m. in CR3 CR1, not CR3, looking at concepts to alleviate flooding at Willow Point. You know, that's been an ongoing issue. It likely involves some variations of raising roads to pull it up out of the flood areas. And then this week, a surveyor from the town is laying out where curb cuts and sidewalks would be along Main Street and no ink would that work, so people can out there actually see where things are proposed, because so they really get a feel for it before making a decision. And I've had some people ask about when roads that were touched by torn up a bit by Aquarian last year, when those would be repaired. And those include New London Road, Route 1 from Bayview Ave to Elm Street, Godfrey Street, West Mystic Avenue, Rathbun Place, Orchard Lane, and Roldan Street. Those will be milled and full width overlay done next month, possibly halfway through this month, but at least in May. And just so people understand how we do this, when Aquarian comes in, we ask them to, every day fill in gravel in the trench, backfilled with gravel, any holes, pave at the end of the week on trenches, and then once it's all done, they come back, let it settle, and then they do that full mill and full width pavement, so you won't see those lines, going through the roads. So that should be done soon, and that is all I have.
Would you like to comment on the hiring at Thrive 55 or anything of that nature?
I'm not able to since it's personnel, but sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Up next is committee reports. The first one is Committee of the Whole, Mayor Franco. And Councilor Gajewski has sent in a notice that he was stepping down from his chair position as and his position on the Arts Committee, as well as Children's First. And I would like to offer those positions to Councilor Bordelon.
Well, I must say I am honored. Can you restate those committees?
It is the Arts Committee. You would chair the Arts Committee and be on Children's First.
And we won't be able to discuss it here. I know the Children's First sometimes meets during the day, so I'd have to go over, but we can talk offline as to when those meet to make sure it fits into my current obligations. But I am interested in personnel and appointments as a true committee that he currently stands on.
Thank you. That committee is full.
So could you state who's moving into that?
That committee is full at this time.
But he would be coming off.
He has stepped down from the Arts Committee and the Children's First Committee. I'm offering those to you.
Okay, I will look at those. If you could send me an email with those dates and times when they meet.
Thank you. Up next, personnel and appointments. Chair Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No meeting, no report.
Thank you. Councilor Parker. For rules?
No meeting, no report.
Thank you. Public safety. Chair
No
Rusk.
meeting, no report.
Thank you. Up next, we are on to new business, but it is 7:44, and I would like to take a small break before we dive into our business. Thank you. 7:44, we'll take like a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Dan, can you text me when they meet? First? Just text it. Okay.
Yeah,
That's my shot today. I'll double check.
Okay, we are back from recess. It is 7:57 PM. Counselor, we are waiting for Counselor Bordelon. Well, not waiting, but she has not come back from recess yet. I'm assuming she will be back shortly. Up next is our new business, 2025-292-1, Fair Housing Policy Resolution. This is in our packet. Ooh, what page is this?
20.
All right, thank you. This is on page 20 in our packet. Counselor, I'm just going to go to Counselor McBride. Did you want to take that one?
Sure. Thank you. 2025-292 Fair Housing Policy Resolution. Be it further resolved that the Chief Executive Officer of the Town of Groton or the designated representative is responsible for responding to and assisting any person who alleges to be the victim of an illegal discriminatory housing practice.
Point of privilege.
Your question?
Counselor McBride is missing the first, therefore be it resolved, which is on page 20. I just wanted to make sure he was able to get that in before the second paragraph.
Okay, Counselor McBride, you only had to read the now therefore be resolved part, if you'd like.
Just for clarification, he started on the now.
You're on page 21.
So the now therefore be resolved at the bottom of page 20.
Yep, now therefore be resolved. I'm starting on page 20, thank you.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Groton hereby endorses a fair housing policy to ensure equal opportunity for all persons to rent, purchase, obtain financing, and enjoy all other housing-related services of their choice for a non-discriminatory basis as provided by state and federal law. And be it further resolved that the Chief Executive Officer of the Town of Groton or the designated representative is responsible for responding to and assisting any person who alleges to be the victim of an illegal discriminatory housing practice in the Town of Groton, and for advising such person of the right to file a complaint with the State of Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, CHRO, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, or to seek assistance from the Connecticut Fair Housing Center, legal services, or other fair housing organizations to protect his or her right to equal housing opportunities.
Second.
All right, moved by McBride. Seconded by Gajewski. Do you have any comments? Counselor Bordelon.
Thank you. I think this is, just an important thing. It's pretty standard across the board. It comes written already for us, but it is definitely very, very vital that, something like this is in effect. It's sad that it has to be. Obviously, to me, this is just a no-brainer to accept this. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands, we'll take a vote on 2025-292-1. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 9-0. Up next, 2025-309-1, Audit Services to your Extension Option Resolution. This is on page 22 in our packet. Counselor Rusk, would you like to take that one?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2025-309, Audit Services, 2-year extension option. Resolved that Town Manager John Burt may execute a 2-year extension for the current contract for audit services with Clifton Larson Allen LLP.
Second.
Moved by Russ, seconded by Gajewski. Okay, not seeing any other hands, we're going to take a vote on 2025-309-1, Audit Services to your extension option. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that passes 9-0.
I'm abstaining from that one.
All right, 8-0 to 1 with borderline abstention. Up next, 2024-1077-4, Adoption of Retaining of Excess Tax Payments Ordinance. This is on page 23 of our packet. Counselor Gajewski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2024-1077, Adoption of Retaining of Excess Tax Payments Ordinance Resolution. Be it resolved that the town council hereby adopts the ordinance retaining excess tax payments for amounts less than $5 and refer to the RTM. So moved.
Second. Moved by Gieske, seconded by Rusk. All right. Counselor Borderline.
I just don't know how I feel about this. I think if there's something left over, it should apply to, taxpayers' bill. Let me just make sure I'm reading the right one, because I see faces at me, so let me,
It is.
I might be reading the wrong one. Yes, this is the right one. This is if you have a bill and you overpaid. Yes, that's what I was saying, but I just had head shaking, so I felt confused for a minute. I just feel like that should be applied to a person's account and it should stay there. I just want to ask the town manager, so military have an exemption? What's the full gamut of all this? Like, why, does our software not track it well? Is it more work for our staff? Why wouldn't we just?
Yeah, as we've discussed prior, it's more work, but we do apply it to other bills. As well as if they had overpaid on two things, you combine the dollars, so you could have a $3 overpayment and a $4, it'd be over that $5 threshold then. But we do apply, no matter what the amount, if you have a bill, we apply it to it.
But if you don't have a bill is the problem.
Right.
And how long would the $5 or below sit before it's wiped?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It wasn't clear in the writing, because my concern is, I don't have any standing bills with the town except for every time I have a car bill. So if I overpaid by $5, would it still be sitting there the next car cycle? Because I don't have any outstanding bills ever.
It says for veterans, 6 years, and for other persons, 3 years.
So it would sit for 3 years. But if we don't, then we would wipe it, it wouldn't wait 3 years, or what's the wait? I guess that's what I'm confused. So not clear to me. Is it a week, will it sit, 2 months, like what's the?
I'd have to look, we discussed it prior, but I don't know off the top of my head.
So
I
we
can
don't-
find out, but.
Yeah, I just think that any money, like, if it sits a year or a year and a half, it's people's money, it should apply, so. If we don't have the answer, I'll abstain then, because I do think that, most people, if you pay on time, you don't have a bill, and, so it would apply to something else. If you have something, if you don't have anything, then I think that $5 should sit there until next time my car tax comes due, like, $5 is $5. So I know, it just, retaining, the town retains it, and we are just, and I had brought up, like, well, then let's send it to people in need, and, that wasn't, like, earmark it to go somewhere to support our, we talk about the income thresholds of people being able to afford to eat and keep housing, and it might not be a lot, but what if that 1 year it's $100? That's $100 more that could be set aside to go into a fund to help people in the most need, because if I leave $5 there, I don't want it going into the general, I want it to go help people. So, I just am unclear. So this now, it says it's been holding it for 3 years. Well, what would it be moving to? A week, 2 days after the bill? Like, it didn't state, I read all the other notes, it didn't state it either. It didn't state how long it would be retaining. It said it for military, but with this new pass, I'm curious to, like, how long? 2 months, 3 months? It wasn't clear anywhere I could find.
I've already answered that.
And you guys you don't know. So should we postpone this until we get that answer, perhaps? What's the deadline on this?
I don't know if there is a deadline.
There's not, but I don't see this. It still has to go to the RTM. I don't see this. It was discussed prior, so I don't see holding it.
Right. The packet says that,
And I just want to encourage counselors to review these before meetings and bring those questions to me prior so I can be ready for it. Because once you don't send in advance, that I personally feel you've sort of forfeited your right to ask. You know,
Right.
Point of information?
Right, because I believe this was fully discussed in the committee of the whole, and our packet does state that at this time, regardless of dollar threshold, the tax office processes refunds of excess payments to veterans within a period of 6 years from the payment date, and to all other persons who have overpaid within 3 years from the due date of the bill. And the thing was that it was $5, and we had, I can recall, extensive discussions on if you had multiple bills, just say you had 3 cars and you had $4 on each car, they would combine those and that would not be considered under 5. And if you owed, just say, money on your real estate, they would apply that overage to your real estate if it was under $5.
Anything owed for any reason.
Right. So, and I believe we had discussed also the timeline of this as well. Your point of information.
I'll wait, take my turn. I'll wait.
Okay, go right ahead. I don't see any other hands.
Okay, sure. So just through the mayor to the town manager, I do extensively read my package, so I just want to make sure that's clear. And the other thing is sometimes organically, questions arise when you relook at it on the day of. We should be able to ask at any time. And I could not find anywhere where that is. And that should be pretty clear, that we will, there's no bill to apply it to, it will wipe within 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No one seems to have the answer. So how many weeks? That's all I'm asking. It was not, we discuss it very thoroughly, and I appreciate that, and I do come prepared, but it just happened to come to my mind, like, if Portia has $5 remaining and there's no other bills, will it sit for 4 months? When does the wipe happen? At what time period? That's all I'm asking.
I feel we're getting hammered to death on the same issue. You said you did research just recently on it, then you should have asked.
No, I just thought of it tonight,
Yeah.
which I haven't. So anyway, I think we should, well, if you could give that answer when it goes to the RTM, it would be nice to know. How long is that hold period? Because it's nowhere in my notes. And I do think that's a pertinent thing. And I think it's a pretty simplistic, I don't know why I feel criticized for asking that. I have a right to ask that. And if you don't have the answer tonight, that's okay. We can meet again at the RTM. But I do think knowing exactly what that time period is before it's wiped is vital. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just kind of in response to some of the concerns that have been addressed tonight, it does say in our packet that the benefit of issuing these low-dollar refunds does not outweigh the associated cost that it does to approve them, to find people to print them. And I remember this whole discussion during the committee of the whole. If I'm remembering correctly, it was at the end of the fiscal year. I could be wrong on that, but that is what I'm remembering, was that it was kind of rolled at the end of the fiscal year, because that would be when you would know that there were no other bills. I am comfortable with the conversation that we had during the meeting, but I just wanted to bring that up to people who may be watching, that the main reason behind this was because the cost of refunding was outweighing the amount that was getting refunded, so it was costing the taxpayers more money to refund than we were keeping. So I'll yield my time.
Thank you. Councilor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm in agreement with Councilor Russ. It was at the end of the fiscal year, but also that there were some problems trying to find the families or the residents that were here in Groton to try to get it to them. And it was costing them to send it out and come back in, which is a waste of stamps, and them trying to contact people to refund their money. Again, this was discussed in February, and we had a public hearing on it in March, so we've had some time. And that's what I'm remembering, is that trying to get through that process is taking a long time, so that's why they waited till the end of the fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other hands. All those in favor of 2024-1077, adoption of retaining excess tax payment ordinance, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right, that passes 8-1-0 with Bordelon a nay. All right, up next, 2025-84-2, Community Peace Garden Project Referral. This is on page 25 of our packet. Counselor Jones, would you like to take that one?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2025-84 Community Peace Garden Project Referral Resolution. Resolved that the Town Council refer the Community Peace Garden Project to the Veterans War and Memorial Committee to work in coordination with the Rotary Club of Mystic on the scope, location, and planning of the project. So moved.
Second. Moved by Jones, seconded by Rusk. Counselor Bordelon.
Thank you. I think this is a great idea, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to see this come to fruition. I just want to thank all the folks involved with this, the Rotary Club, for bringing this forward. I think it is a great opportunity, and I look to see how the community engagement and involvement will happen. And I just think it's nice to have something positive that's coming around. I hope that maybe other committees can get involved too if they chose, but I think there probably will be some outreach, and I look forward to seeing where this may go. Thank you.
Counselor Gajewski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was my pleasure to refer this to the council and working with Mr. Waller of the Rotary Club, who put it on my radar. And I agree with my colleague, Councilor Bordelon, of seeing other community members getting involved. For the Veterans and War Memorial Committee, I think it is a good task for them to take up, and Mr. Waller seemed to agree with that when he was here in his discussion. I'm not going to speak for him, but that was the perception I received. So I look forward to passing this and continuing the great work on it.
Thank you. I also think this is a wonderful project, and I can't wait to see what the Rotary, in conjunction with the Veterans and War Memorial Committee, come up with, and I look forward to it. All right, so let's take a vote on 2025-84-2, Community Peace Garden Project Referral. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 9-0. Up next, 2025-10-4, Adoption of Parking Fee Amendment to Ordinances. This is on page 26 of our packet. Counselor Pacino, would you like to take that one?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2025-10, Adoption of Parking Fee Amendment to Ordinances Resolution. Be it resolved that the Town Council hereby adopts an ordinance to amend Sections 7 TAC 31 and 11 TAC 56, 1 of the Code of Ordinance to amend parking fees and refer them to the RTM.
Second, Bordelon.
Moved by Pacino, second by Bordelon. Counselor Bordelon.
I think this is, there's some modest increases. Most folks, don't strive to get parking tickets usually, so this is just, I think the enforcement, I've heard a lot of concerns with Mystic, so, I think this is a step in the right direction, and we'll see how it goes.
All right. I would have to agree. I am looking forward to the police taking this on and giving them another tool in their tool belt that could potentially dissuade people from staying parked very long in Mystic and other areas of Groton, and that this is what our community has been crying out for, is some kind of help with the parking issues. So I do hope that this is one more thing that might be able to assist. All right, we'll take a vote on 2025-10-4, adoption of parking fee amendment to ordinances. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Counselor McBride, I didn't hear yours.
I was a yes, thank you.
Thank you. That passes 9-0. Up next, 2025-179-2, setting Shinnecock Golf Course 2025 rates. This is on page 28 of our packet. Counselor Merritt, would you like to take this one?
Yes, thank you. Resolution, item 2025-179, setting Shinnecock Golf Course rates. The resolution setting the 2025 rates for the Shinnecock Golf Course, whereas the Golf Advisory Board and the Parks and Recreation Commission have endorsed changes to the greens fees and season pass rates for Shinnecock Golf Course for 2025, and whereas the change to greens fees and season passes reflect recommendations from the council, whereas the council approved a change to the youth and associate ages, now therefore be it resolved that the municipal golf course rates for 2025 shall be the rates as attached.
Second.
Moved by Merritt, seconded by Pacino. Counselor Bordelon.
Thank you. I just appreciate all the folks who reached out regarding the youth concerns and age, as well as the cart fees that were going up, but then we seem to bring them back down. And then looking at the non-resident versus resident fees. So I just, I think the community, I'm happy that people come out and either spoke or sent emails with their concerns on, I don't think this is, nothing's perfect. I think there's, some things that may, some folks may still want change, but I think this seems like a decent start, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. And I just thank all the folks who have worked hard to work on trying to come to some type of resolution on this, on these fees. Thank you.
Counselor Merritt.
I have also spoken to several people that use the golf course, and they've compared it to others in the area, and they say that we're about number one to speak of, between rates and areas to play physically. And we're holding our own, so to speak, so, and they don't mind the rates going up.
Thank you. Counselor McBride.
Thank you. I've also spoken to others, and I've received different pieces of information. I think the members I've spoken to are okay with rates going up, but not up to 8.1%, which is why I proposed the motion last meeting that didn't pass. But that's fine, that's fine, that's how the council decided. However, I do have 3 serious issues that I brought up last time, in that we're going up on the residents, but there's 3 areas that we are not increasing the rates for non-residents. It's the non-resident weekdays, the non-resident weekdays 9-hole, and the non-resident youths. Those rates are staying the same, and I don't think that's fair to the town of Groton. So I would like to propose an amendment to move the non-resident weekday rate from the current 55, which was the current last year, to 58. The non-resident weekday 9-hole from 35, which it was last year, to 38. And the non-resident youth from 20 to 21, which it was last year.
All right, you're going to have to repeat those, because
Yes, certainly. It's non-resident weekday rate from the current $55, which is what it was last year, to $58. The non-resident weekday 9-hole rate from $35 to $38. And the non-resident youth from $20 to $21.
I'll second that.
Those represent the 5% increase.
I'll second that for discussion.
And again, my purpose is just that I don't think it's fair and equitable that we're putting on a 7-8% increase for our residents, yet we're not covering increases to the non-residents equally throughout. Thank you.
Mayor,
yes.
I just want to remind you, if you consider it a significant change, it should go back to Cal.
All right, so there's an amended motion on the floor by Counselor McBride, seconded by Bordelon, for weekday rates for non-residents, 18 holes moved to 58, 9-hole to 38, and 9-hole, youth to 21. And that is on weekdays. Non-season pass.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Your inquiry.
Similar to what the manager just said, is this viewed as a significant change?
I don't think it's significant. It's $3, $3, and $1.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to clear that for the record. And then my second question, didn't this motion fail, and it couldn't go back to, if it went back to cow, it would.
It failed in cow, you're
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
But we
so
are in town council
We're in
right
town
now.
council, so it's good to, okay.
A different type of meeting, but you are correct, it did fail in cow.
Okay, yep.
I'd want to give that a little thought. If you have the exact thing, it fails for a year. If
That's
you make any
correct.
motion, regardless
Councilor
of which.
McBride,
yeah.
is this the same motion you made before, or is it, would it be considered?
The dollars are different. Well, you know, and the other motion I proposed was more, there were 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8 changes. This is just the.
That was the residence rate, correct? You had made a motion for residence rates to actually
Correct,
decrease.
and
This one-
also non-resident rates.
Okay.
It was a larger motion. This motion is just for 3.
Okay. I don't think it's exactly the same.
It's not.
Okay.
I have my notes right here.
Thank
Thank you.
All right. Counselor Borderline.
Thank you. No, I appreciate Councilor McBride bringing forth and looking at the inequities within the numbers. I know that they stated when they spoke that if we made these changes, it would cause some changes for them, and they had already kind of mapped these out. So I kind of feel that, you know, we probably should stick with what they brought forward, and maybe next year make sure that they're aware that these are concern areas, that they should not stay the same. So I'm kind of torn on that piece. But I will admit that these increases are very minor. We're talking $3, $1 for the youth. I mean, that's not, and 3, so, I mean, total, I mean, that's really just not a lot. So I'm interested to hear what the other counselors have to say about it. I'm kind of in the middle right now on that. I could kind of stay where we are, which I think, you know, everyone's in full of, that came out, kind of was expecting, but I can appreciate Councilor McBride's thoughts on that, looking at the inequities, in my opinion. So I just think ever-changing. I hope that the golf course, you know, with time will, you know, have a different system. I know they're trying to level it out with time, but because the rates had changed in some areas and not in others in other years, so it's kind of a little, but anyway, I'll wait to see what other people think, but for now, I'll wait for discussion, and I'm kind of undecided, so I'll kind of listen to the conversation. Thank you.
Counselor Gieske.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to save for the record, I was in favor of this in Cal, and these numbers are just slightly different in council, and I'll be in favor of these in council because I agree with my colleague, Councilor McBride, in appearance of inequity. But I do know if it does fail, I do know that the Parks and Rec Department, the golf course, and the Golf Advisory Board worked really hard on this, so I'll vote for the main motion as well, if this does fail. So, thank you.
Counselor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I absolutely understand Councilor McBride's concerns. I would say that the youth fee did not change for resident or non-resident from 2024 to 2025. It was $20 before for both. It's still $20 now, which for young adults who are 21 and younger, I think that is very fair to keep it the same. And the other two, I remember that Director Barry was talking about how there was like a 15% increase between the resident and the non-resident, and they were trying to keep that consistent so that when they did raises from there, it continued to go up in the same amount. So I will be supporting the numbers that are in our packet for that reason. One, I don't want to increase youth fees at all if we don't have to, and I want to make sure that our youth can come out. And the amount already went up for season passes, but not for the greens fees. So that's where I stand. I just want to respect the Golf Advisory Board and Director Barry in their attempt to keep it kind of at a same amount between the two.
Counselor Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I remember, during the cow, we took the resident prices from 2024, added 7% to those. And then that, whatever that came to, we added 15% to that. So when we're talking about this 18 hole, last year's non-resident fee was well over 15% more than residents. The $55 now for the 2025 is just about 15%. And the same goes for the 9 hole. So they did exactly what they said and what we had asked. 7% for residents and then 15% above that for non-residents. And those are the numbers. That's what they come out to, minus a few cents here or there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to take a vote first on the amended.
I have my hand up.
I did not see your hand up. I kept looking up there. Sorry about that, Counselor Parker. You're next. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm actually in agreement with David McBride as I was one of the other ones who did not vote for this. I abstained or probably said no. I'm not sure anymore. I am looking at the weekday and they didn't increase. And it did increase for others. I know it's $2 or $3, but we're putting it on the residents. So I will be abstaining from this vote. If we're gonna do this, and they brought up the prices for us to discuss, we were gonna do this equitably, and I don't think it is. Thank you.
Okay. Take a vote on the amended motion made by McBride, seconded by Bordelon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have,
I'll say aye.
Wait, I'm confused. I might have, are we voting on the amended, no, point of information, sorry?
we are voting on the amended motion made by McBride, seconded by Bordelon. So we have Jones, Gajewski, Merritt. Councilor McBride, I didn't hear your vote.
That was a yes.
Okay.
Parker's a yes.
Those opposed?
Aye.
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 Abstentions?
Aye.
All right, that passes. 5 to 3 to 1. Then we're going to pass it with the amended motion as well as the main motion all together. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Counselor Mira, I didn't hear your vote.
Aye.
Counselor Bordelon, I didn't hear your vote.
I was an aye.
All right, that passes 9 to 0 to 0. Up next, 2025-310-1, new motor vehicle depreciation schedule. Before we start this, I do want to announce that there's some questions that I have under other business with our agenda items, so I would appreciate people not adjourning the meeting prior to us going over some items in our next item of business. 2025-310, the new motor vehicle depreciation schedule. That is on starts on page 30, goes on to page 31. Counselor Parker, would you like to take that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And motion, be it resolved that the town of Groton adopt a new modified motor vehicle depreciation schedule for the 2024 grand list. I so move.
Second, Jones.
Moved by Parker, seconded by Jones. Counselor Gajewski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I voted for this out of Cal because I wanted to, I know we had a deadline to get it passed. And I've reviewed it, I thought about it, and I know many residents are currently having trouble paying their bills in the town of Groton. And this would be an increase to that. And the revenue from it, to me, that we would gain from it is, well, although substantial to most people in our overall budget, it's not a lot to me, is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. But, so I don't want to put that extra burden on some residents, so I will be opposed to it. on the floor tonight. Thank you.
Counselor Bordelon?
I appreciate Counselor Gajewski's kind of change from the voting, like in one more time. I was against it from the beginning in the sense that I feel right now, eventually it's all going to catch up in a few years anyway, so why do anything substantial right now? We constantly are talking about worrying about the residents' food insecurities, their levels of the ability to afford things. For some people, these few dollars does mean a lot. You know, we really need to consider that. So for that, I will not be supporting, and I will be voting the way I voted before. You know, I don't know, I just can't see increasing that at this time. So, thank you.
Counselor Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the 8 examples that they gave us in the cow, it seems that folks with older vehicles are unfairly paying more taxes for their vehicles than folks with newer vehicles. And I feel that is part of our community that we don't want to negatively affect. I'm a no on this.
Counselor McBride, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Counselor McBride.
Thank you. I want to just state that I am in support of this, and it's not because I'm in support of increasing the property taxes on the residents, because the taxes overall in aggregate are going down, the motor vehicle tax, by a significant amount by what the legislature passed last year in changing the valuation of motor vehicles from the retail value to the MSRP value. So overall in aggregate, the town of Groton is receiving significantly less dollars from the original proposal. This measure that the governing legislature put forth is an attempt to recoup some of that, but not all of it, because many towns, including Groton, have had a reduction in the the motor vehicle tax revenue stream. It's not that they're increasing. It could have been a sample size 8, could have had a few, but I don't think a sample size 8 is a good sample size for 40,000 people. I think overall the aggregate, as the assessor indicated, motor vehicle taxes are decreasing substantially, and this is an attempt to bring some of that money back to the town of Groton. So I'm in support of it, because still, motor vehicles are decreasing for the vast majority of residents, even with this initiative that was passed.
Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is probably the first abstention I will have done in my entire time being a politician, because I wasn't here and I don't really understand what this was, so I will pass on voting on it because it was discussed during the time I was away. So, be my one abstention.
Counselor Rusk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When we talked about this at the COW, I asked for residents to reach out to me, and I had one resident who did. And when we talked about it, she said, you know, it's kind of apples and oranges, or half of one, sixth of the other, or half a dozen, 1/6 of the other, sorry. Like, you're either paying for it in your car, or you're going to pay for it in your property taxes. So I didn't ask this ahead of time, and we may not get an answer. I guess the question is, how much, if we don't pass this, how does that affect the mill rate?
Well, we covered it last time. Basically, it's a 4.7, you know, so the 1 mil is 4.7 million, and it was going to, how much was it going to? 700,000?
700,000. Okay, thank you. So across the board, when it comes out, again, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You're going to be paying for it one way or the other. I stated very publicly, I hate car tax because it just feels like we buy a car, we pay taxes on the car, we get to continue to pay taxes on it. It seems very nonsensical to me. Grew up in a state that didn't have that. So I'm not gonna vote for this at this point. I know we can bring it back next year if for some reason we feel like it is important enough to bring back. But I was not comfortable with the numbers that we were looking at last week on how much it would change people, so that's where I'm at. We're going to pay it one way or the other.
Mr. Burt?
Just to answer, it's about 1.15 of a mil.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Bordelon?
Yeah, I can agree that somehow we are going to pay at some point, but the appearance of it, and even though not all car owners own housing property, they might have rental, their rent could go up and they might be affected that way, maybe, if the rent goes up. But some people live in subsidized housing that would be the most affected, and theirs is based on what they make, so they wouldn't be paying that extra property tax if they're not a homeowner per se. So those are the people I'm worried about, and they possibly could have older cars, depending, or newer cars. So with that, I just don't feel like right now throwing this all on anybody, and especially our most vulnerable. Again, for me, yep, I'll probably pick it up in the homeowner's property tax, but for others that I spoke to that don't own properties, that say I live in subsidized housing and their rent is not slotted to go up because honestly, they didn't make a lot of money this year or their income is fluctuating based on the economy, this would impact them. So therefore, as I stated, I will not be supporting this, and I feel like it's too much at the time, so that's all. Thank you.
Counselor Parker, did you have your hand up?
I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sure.
So I was against this, I still am, because in reading and at the discussion we had, it's going to go up to 90% and then decrease each year. We're currently at 85% of our depreciation value. So we're going to tack on the 5% and then go back the following year after to 85, then each year go down. But my point was, why increase it when we're already at 85? So I am not in favor of doing this at all. I understand, yes, it would bring in additional funding, but it would be at the taxpayers' expense because we're gonna go up in appreciation, not decrease, because like I said, we're already at 85. So I'm a no, thank you.
Counselor Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to reiterate the 8 vehicles that they gave us for an example. The newest vehicles taxes will actually go down by $181. The oldest one will go up by $62. I don't see how that works for folks who are on the cusp. We don't need to be doing that to them. There will be another way taxes will get paid, but shouldn't be on the backs of the people who are making it day to day, week to week, paycheck to paycheck, and barely paying for that old POS they got. That's me, I'm done.
Thank you.
All right, well, I completely understand what Counselor McBride is stating, and that I even reiterated this at the last meeting. This is, if majority of the people in this community, if you're not going to be paying it through your car tax, you're going to be paying it through either personal property tax or even your real estate taxes. And the mill rate will increase by 0.15 if we don't do it. I also hear the sentiment of the council, and this was brought forward because there was a timeline that was attached to it, and it was discussed that we would make decisions here. I will go with the will of the council, and I will not be in favor of this at this time. But when I hear people say this is going to decrease for people, trust me, it will be picked up within the real estate taxes and personal property, so it will be covered, the $700,000, one way or another. So it's not a decrease because somebody else will be picking it up. All right. Seeing no other hands, we'll take a vote on 2025-310-1, new motor vehicle depreciation schedule. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
I haven't gotten there yet.
My one, my first.
You couldn't wait for that. Abstention?
Aye.
Thank you. That fails 1 to 7 to 1 with McBride in favor and Jones abstaining. All right, we're going on to our other business, which is an open agenda review.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Council Parker?
I would like to add something, please. When it's time, thank you.
Okay, you can take that now.
Okay. I would like to request that the mayor add to the next agenda the censure of Councilor Bordelon for her actions at March 25th COW meeting. Thank you.
Okay,
Point of information,
your question?
what's the action?
She wants to add to the agenda censure of Council Bordelon at our next COW due to behavior at the 325 meeting.
I guess, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I just think that's,
All right, I would support that. Mr. Burke, do we need two councilors to support that to get on the agenda?
Well, per the town council rules, you have the ability to add it, so it just depends on which way you want to do it.
All right, are there any other councilors who would support putting that on the agenda?
Aye.
All right, that has two councilors in support of the referral, so that will go onto the agenda, our next COW agenda. Okay, thank you, Councilor Parker. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about on the open agenda items?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just mention one thing too?
Mr. Burt?
I just wanted to mention, I did get an answer on that $5 ordinance, the holding. As a couple of councilors mentioned, it is for the fiscal year.
Thank you. All right, so I wanted to follow up on the solar array at the transfer station, because this has been really going on quite a while. Do you have any kind of good update?
It's getting close. There's significant taxes that would be involved with that equipment, and so it's been a long negotiation on how you deal with it, because if you fully tax it, the deal would be, likely blown or take away all profits. So I'm told they're getting close to the end. They're in the last details, so we should have something. But it became much more complicated than expected, so.
Okay. And there were signages that went through public safety about emergency signages and evacuation routes. Is there any update on that?
I think that could probably be removed, remember, if you recall, we were told DOT only allows what they always allow. They don't allow different signage. And we did our part for our signage, I believe, so.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I believe that could be removed.
All right, and can you give us an update on where the parks are on the west side of town?
I think part of it was seeing where we come out of with Pleasant Valley, since that had the potential. Mark did have some work done by an outside person looking at it, but essentially, yes, we need trails, open space, or a park. So it was sort of just confirmed what we already know. So I think you probably want to get through Pleasant Valley first.
All right, and can you give us an update? Because, I mean, I brought this to your attention recently. The sign on Route 1 and 117.
We just got DOT approval finally in the last week. So it should be up shortly, as soon as the Public Works can get it on there.
That is wonderful. And the 117 signs.
They might still have to order it or have it built, because if they were waiting for approval, they probably didn't have it built, so you have the wording that they want.
And that meant the two signs on 117 were approved as well, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Leading up to the intersection there.
Okay. And do you know the athletic fields, like a master plan, and as well as the financing, do you know when that might come onto the agenda?
Next week.
Okay.
I have an item.
Councilor Bordelon.
With the inequities, I would like to also then, if the motion is being put on the floor, we'll see if I have the support. If I'm going to be censured, then I think the mayor should be censured for her actions and accusations against me at the same meeting. So I'll throw that on there. We'll see if we get a second, but
I'm trying.
Information. Is this part of what we're discussing right now?
She's asking for a referral.
Yeah.
So you want a mayor censure regarding
the behavior at that same meeting that I'm being censured for as well, or asking to be. This is, if you rewatch the meeting, I don't know where you see a they're about equal, in my opinion.
Just for the record, McBride is not in support of either one.
Councilor McBride, I didn't hear what you said. Are you giving a second to Councilor Bordelon? Are you giving a second?
No, I'm not in support of either motion.
Thank you. I don't see, does anybody else support Councilor Bordelon's motion on the floor?
That's great. And then the last item I have is, I appreciate the sentiments to put me on an ad hoc committee, which I'm already on, athletic task force and all that. Again, there are 3 different standing committees, 3 seats on each, 9 counselors. So I'm again asking, we'll see if I get a second, to be put on a standing committee, as some counselors are serving on 2. So
That is not an open agenda item?
I would like it to be an agenda item to discuss my being placed on a standing committee.
That is in the chart of the prerogative of the mayor.
But it can be discussed as an agenda item. It can be discussed. So that's my recommendation, is to ask for the discussion to come out, because it was stated that nobody wants me on there. And I think that if those people feel that way, then it should be on the record. I think we need to have a meeting. We're elected at large, and I would like that as an agenda item to be asked to be put on the standing committee equally as my counselors up here.
Does anybody support that referral?
I don't support the specific referral, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have open discussion to provide the mayor feedback so she can be well informed on any future decisions.
You don't have 2 supporting members. Councilor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor to Mr. Burt, can we get an update on where we're at with crosswalks in Pequannock Bridge? We had talked in committee about putting some lights or...
Yeah, we're waiting on DOT. Yeah, we reached out several times, but I'll ask.
I didn't hear your question.
Oh, the question was, in committee, we had talked about putting added lights or some sort of added signage at the crosswalk, and I never remember the name of that street. I'm sorry, it starts with a V. On Route 1 across from Bridge Market in Pequannock.
Virginis.
That's the one. Thank you, Virginis. And it's gone to the DOT and it just hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, I'll check again.
Thank you. The other thing that I had, I'm hoping this is an appropriate time for this, I had asked the town manager to look into the lights at the corner of 117 and 184, which again is state property, or state roads. But the problem there is that the north and southbound lanes don't have a turn lane, and so traffic gets very, very backed up. And so my hope as an easy solution would be to alternate the lights, so do the east and westbound lanes together, but then do the north and southbound lanes as separate lights. If you want to see that kind of in action, it is at North and Bridge Street in Groton in the city. It actually goes around in a circle, and so everybody kind of has their own light, which also could work there, but I don't think you need it for east and westbound because they do have a turn lane there. But the north and southbound there, if we could get alternate lights.
Also with DOT.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
I'd like to, it has been brought forward about, I'd like to make a referral as well and see if we can get some support here. On our agendas, there has been outside services. One of them is the, we have dealt with fire department pilot money, we have dealt with ambulances, and I think maybe it would be nice to have it put on our agenda that maybe we can bring forward the outside libraries and come up with a fair and consistent way of the funding sources or funding amounts, let me say. And I think that as a council, maybe we can send that to a committee. I don't know if we have any that actually fit that criteria, but maybe we could send it as a special project, but I'd like that to come to the council as an item for discussion.
I'll second it.
I will also agree to that.
So I have support by Rusk. And Gajewski.
Motion to adjourn?
I had one more, I don't hear a second. Councilor Merritt, do you have something you would like to discuss?
Going back to the streetlights at Virginis Court and Route 1, I've asked before about that, about the light in the parking lot of Bridge Market. That's been out for quite some time.
Okay,
I believe that added to the feature of the crosswalk at one time.
so the light is out, you think, there?
I don't know what the deal is, whether Bridge Market had it hooked up or it was part of Groton Utilities. Who owns the light? Why hasn't it been replaced? I mentioned before that we have agencies in the town that can notice a street light being out, and it should be duly noted and taken care of.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burt, can you make a note that he believes the light's
Yeah,
out?
I remember I looked at that previously. I don't remember what the results were, but I'll look into it.
Thank you.
Question-
Counselor Jones.
Through the mayor, question for the town manager. The streetlights at 184 by Pep Boys has been out most of the day. Has that been taken care of yet?
I don't know.
On 184 by, I think it's Colonel Ledyard Highway, that intersection right by
I'm
Pep
not
Boys.
sure because it falls under DOT, not us, but
It's been out since early morning into the
yeah,
afternoon.
I can't imagine it would go on long though. They're usually pretty, that's one of the things that are.
Like the
pretty
traffic
quick about.
light?
It's traffic light, the whole
Yeah.
traffic light.
That's one of the things, that and potholes, the DOT do best on.
Well, they have to drive by it because they're just
Yeah.
down the street,
Yeah.
so they must see it, but it's been out most of the day.
I'll second that.
All right.
And that falls into that report
Is
of
it-
high crash areas too. So
All right, does anybody else have any comments on open agenda items or have any kind of referral that they would like to bring forward at this time? You can bring it forward and see if you can get support.
Motion to adjourn? Oh,
Counselor McBride?
Yes, I would love to make a referral for the review and the establishment of a stormwater authority.
I'll second it.
Has this already come before us, Mr. Burt? When was the last time, Councilor McBride, that you brought this forward? Has it been a year?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I believe it was when the new council was sworn in, you did your goal setting. I think that's when it was brought in and didn't make the list then. Well, let me check. There could have been a follow-up request. I could check.
If not, I will actually support that. I should
I
say,
believe that did come forward as an agenda item. It wasn't voted upon.
All right, so we can see if there's support, and if there is support, and it hasn't been a full year, then we can see. I'm sorry, is there more, I have Rusk down for support.
I had said I would before that.
All right. There's 2 support for you there, Councilor McBride.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
All right. Entertain.
motion to adjourn.
All right, adjourn by Rusk, seconded by Gajewski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions. That passes 9-0. It is 8:58 PM. Thanks, everybody. Drive safe.
Good night.
John, what was the date for?